Hello and welcome to your messages for the month of December 2021. Okay, so coming up to the end of the year, lots of it's eclipse season, we've got the winter solstice, and we have lots of energy to play with this month. So let's take a look and see. The 1st of December 2021. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Deborah Jane Sutton, and you can find out more about me and my work at deborahjanesutton.com, link in the description, or from this YouTube channel. Please have a good browse around, because not only do I do the cards and messages for the week, and like this one, the cards and messages for the month, but I've also got a series in Lessons in Awakening. So if you're waking up at this time and you are wanting to understand more about frequency, more about your energy, more about how you create your own reality, about quantum manifestation, made simple, I hasten to add, and all those things that we need to wake up to at this time, then please check out my Lessons in Awakening. In one of the sections, you scroll down my YouTube channel and you'll find them. There's 2 sections of them now. I also have a section on self-healing techniques. So there's advice and guidance, and also self-healing techniques that you can literally use and apply to your life at this moment. Okay, it's all there on the channel, so please have a good browse. There's also a section on interviews and chats. And I've also got a couple in or 3 videos in Spanish as well, if you want to share those with any Spanish-speaking friends. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going on. And is there anything we need to know? Thank you. Wow. Anything else that we need to know? Right, I'm just getting, no, there's just 3 cards have come out. And 3 is the magic number. That happened on Sunday as well. And powerful cards, again, I am going to show them to you. We've got a major arcanic, a king and a queen. So they are nice and powerful. Now, let's just have a look at what the message is for this month. This will be the whole month of December and could possibly be further as well. Right, so the first card is the Queen of Cups. Cups is emotional. Is anyone not feeling emotional out there at this stage of the game? Cups is emotions, it's emotionally fulfilling, creativity, spirituality, and intuition. Okay, so what I've just said about checking out the Lessons in Awakening, exactly, it's all about this waking up to the density of the collective society is one thing. You know, the greed, the manipulation, the control, the fear, you know, waking up to the fact that this is all dense energy, and that we need to take sovereignty over our own energy field, that's one thing. But understanding that you are an energy being, and understanding that you are the creator of your own reality, this has been hidden from us. And even when people have touched on it, they've kind of thought about it from like quantum physics. You've got to be a quantum physicist and all of this. No, you don't. You do not need to be a quantum physicist to understand the quantum physics behind all of this creation, I want to call it. I mean, you can drive a car, right? And you're not a mechanic. You know, you can put a light on in your room and you're not an electrician. And you can also find something on the internet and you're not an ICT, you know, geek or what have you. Some of you might be, you know, but I'm just saying. So you don't need to understand quantum physics, is what I'm trying to say, in order to understand that you are the creator and to understand how you are creating it. She's, with this card, the Queen of Emotions, I look at her as having mastered her emotions. Okay, now we came here for the human experience, and the human experience is one of feeling. We came here to feel. Whether that's positive or negative, there's no judgment, right? There's no judgment. So what you're perceiving as negative, we came here to feel that as well, and to contrast. And I think, to sum it up, we came here to feel the contraction so that we could choose the expansion. That's how I want to word it. We came here for the human experience of evolving. It's a game. We came here to see, oh, let's see if we can do it. Because if you're watching this video, there's a high chance that you're a mature soul or an evolved soul or a wise soul or however you want to word it. And the thing is, the more evolved souls kind of, not egotistically, of course, but I always look at it as in they're kind of, I could do that. I can wake up. I'll give myself heaps of adversity so that I'm going to wake up really quickly because I know how to play this game now. The trouble is, when we incarnate, we forget. And it takes us a while to get to this stage of waking up. But once we're there, if you're waking up to the fact that we are the creators, this is perfect, because this is what we need to focus on now. This whole idea that you are the whole universe in one human being, and there is nothing and no one outside of you. What you're perceiving to be outside of you is a holographic projection of you. That's what people don't get. Or it could be a holographic projection of a part of you. It could be a holographic projection of one of your thoughts. It could be a holographic projection of one of your beliefs. It could be a holographic projection of one of your trapped emotions. That's why mastering your emotions. So we've got like stepping stones to mastering our emotions. There is a video in the Lessons in Awakening called Mastering Your Thoughts and Emotions. I will put a link in the description, and I will put it in the end screen as well, because clearly that's relevant. I also think of the Queen of Cups as having read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. If you haven't read it, I suggest you read it. And if you have read it, I suggest you read it again. I think I'm going to read mine again, because it's written at a level whereby when you're ready, you know what it's like. When you're ready, you take the information that you need at that stage, that level of consciousness. But as you expand into higher levels of consciousness, you're going to be able to resonate with higher level of information or input or awareness, I want to say. So I think we should all give that book another read. But she certainly mastered her emotions. So the first way of mastering emotions, I do think, is releasing them. And I do talk about the emotion code a lot in the Lessons in Awakening. And the tapping, I'm inspired to do a video on the tapping as well, because that's a really good way of releasing, acknowledging and releasing your emotions. So there is releasing the density of those trapped emotions. And then there's also, as Eckhart Tolle teaches us, there's the observing your emotions and remembering that they are just passing through you. We don't want to trap them and keep them inside. They're just passing through you, and they are there to be felt. We came here for the feeling experience. That's what I started off saying. We came here for the feeling experience. And the only reason we've got these trapped emotions is because we didn't want to feel them. So in order not to trap anymore, we need to learn how to observe our emotions and process them, or just let them pass through. Feel them, acknowledge them, shine your light on them, okay, because that's how you transmute them, okay, rather than letting your blood boil with the low frequency emotions like anger and frustration, and then reacting to something on the outside of you, okay, because of course it's the inside of you that's created whatever it is on the outside of you that's frustrating you. So there's also a video on triggers, understanding your triggers, because that's really important as well, to understand that when you're triggered, it's not actually the outside of you that needs the attention, it's the emotion that's coming up on the inside of you. And just by observing it, we can transmute it. So we're going to have lots of opportunities in December. This is what I'm going to conclude from this card. We have got lots of opportunities coming up in December, and I don't doubt in 2022 as well. Opportunities to not only release the trapped emotions that we have within us, we can also release trapped emotions from past lives and, inherited ones, all sorts of, let's not be in denial. Let's not be in denial about the emotional energy that we're carrying within our energy field. So let's just raise our awareness to it, because that's how we can release it, just by raising our awareness to it. It doesn't have to be anything more complicated than that. But also, when we come across anything that's upsetting, just to sit with it and observe it. Just understand it's coming from the inside out. It's not coming from the outside in. That's the point that we need to understand. And that we change the outside by changing what's on the inside. That came up in the cards for the week this week. Now, we've got the moon. Right now, I mean, obviously we've got new moons, full moons, and what have you. The moon is a really powerful time for releasing and letting go of not only the emotions, but the thoughts, because our third card is the King of Swords, and my interpretation of him is thoughts. He's mastered his thoughts, and she's mastered her emotions. That's how I interpret these cards. And he's got this butterfly. To me, it's symbolic of the transformation that occurs when we change the way we think. So, and this card is in the middle of them both, which the moon is kind of symbolic of our emotions, which is also the water card as well. Cups is also, flowing water. But the moon card is also about our shadow side, or as Eckhart Tolle refers to it, our pain body. I mean, it doesn't matter how you refer to it, right? Language is always so limiting, I find. So whether you call it trapped emotions, your pain body, or your shadow side, your dark side, let's never forget that any darkness that you're witnessing in the outside world is a reflection of the darkness within you. And it's okay. Don't turn your back on it. This is the problem, is that we've been we haven't been feeling complete. And the reason that we don't feel complete is because we have been disowning parts of us. We've been disowning the parts of us that we don't like because we are judging ourselves. There is no judgment. We came here to feel. Like, for example, jealousy. If someone feels jealous, they feel guilty for feeling jealous because jealous is considered to be a negative emotion. That's just too much thought. You're feeling jealous, you're feeling jealous. Just sit with it and feel it. Stop judging it. Allow yourself, you're human. You came here for a human experience. You're allowed to feel jealous. You're allowed to feel angry. You're allowed to feel despair. You're allowed to feel resentment. You're allowed to feel fear. You're allowed to feel it all, because we came here to feel. We came here to have a feeling experience. So we've got to stop judging ourselves for having these emotions. But we do need to understand that they're ours. And they're not coming from the outside. The outside is coming from the inside. So it's about encompassing it all. And loving yourself, okay? Love your jealous self, love your fearful self, love your resentful self. It's about loving, shining your light on it means loving all of who you are. The reason that the dark side, or whatever you want to call it, dark side of the moon or whatever, shadow side, the reason it's there is because we've tried not to, we've disowned it, basically. And that's why we don't feel complete. But when you can just be yourself, warts and all, it's so liberating. It's so relaxing. And it's easier to do when you understand that there is only you. There is only you. So love you. Love you. Love you, warts and all. Because why wouldn't you? when you know that loving yourself is the path to enlightenment, is the path to higher levels of consciousness. Love the process. Here's a book I can recommend. I'll put a link in the description. Loving What Is by Byron Katie. Loving things exactly as they are. And letting things be. Letting things be. Because who was it that said, I think it was Carl Jung that said, what you resist persists. What you resist persists. So, like if you keep nagging something and you keep, you know, having a go at something, and it's like you're hammering away at something and you're like angry about it, you're bitter, you're annoyed, you're resentful, you know, and you keep going like this, you know, it just makes you feel bad, right? That's not a feel-good feeling. Okay, so what I want to say here is another Sarah Landon quote. I'll put a link in below to her website as well, which is, we create our own suffering when we think we know the best path for another. Now, this has been really big for me because as a teacher, wife, mother, you know, telling people what they ought to do, you know, how do you know what they ought to do? Have you read their birth chart? Do you remember that you're human, the human you that's telling them what to do? Do you know what they signed up for in their soul contracts? I bet you don't. I mean, you might do, but I doubt it. I don't think that's why you're nagging them, right? That's not why you're telling them what to do, is it? Because you know what their soul contract is? No. You're telling them what to do because you think you know the best path for them. But how do you know that maybe they are creating the path that they need? Maybe they are creating the adversity that they need. Because we create our own adversity. That came up a few weeks ago. We create our own adversity for the purpose of waking ourselves up. So how do you know when you see people around you making mistakes? How do you not? Maybe that's their soul contract and they're creating the adversity that they need in order for them to grow. They may even have made a contract to leave the earth plane with a certain experience. And they might have a soul contract to do that for the purpose of waking you up. Could be a loved one. You could be telling them what to do and they're not listening, and all you're causing is frustration and negative emotions. If it doesn't feel good, then don't do it. I really want to say that if it doesn't feel good, because if you're in that situation, what you're doing is you're resisting. There's something going on outside of you and you don't like it. If you don't like it, that's you resisting it. If you can find peace in your heart for everything that's going on outside of you, now that is a big ask. I understand it's a big ask, but I'm trying to help you look at it from a different level of perception here. If you can create peace in your heart, regardless of what's going on outside of you, what is going on outside of you will change. What's going on outside of you will be more peaceful. I've actually been experiencing this myself recently, is that when you literally let go, whether we're calling it let go or back off, I want to say. Sorry, I just really wanted to say that, back off. I don't know who it is that you're nagging, but back off. We need to stop telling people what to do. They're on their path, okay? Now you can share stuff, like, I'm sharing stuff now, but I don't know who's watching and who's taking what. So I'm not saying don't share stuff. I'm not saying don't share your knowledge. I'm not saying don't share your ideas, don't share your opinions. But when it's directed at a specific person, which we tend to do with our loved ones, agreed, especially wives and mothers and family members, that resistance and that belief that they need to be doing something different from what they're doing, that is creating your suffering. That's creating your suffering. You think you're trying to help them, and you think you're going to alleviate their suffering. I'm going to bring it back. There is nobody outside of you. Everything is a reflection of a part of you. So stop nagging yourself. Back off from yourself. And what I want to say about that is if something doesn't feel good, don't do it. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. We are really here for a feel-good journey. If you want to make a decision about anything, whatever it may be, the answer is always go with the one that feels better. Okay, because we're following the expansion. We're following our expansion. We're not following our contraction. Okay, so when you have a belief, because he's all about change your belief, change your life. Okay. Dr. Wayne Dyer. There's an audio book on YouTube. I can put a link in the description for that as well. On YouTube, there's an audio book. He has a book called Change Your Beliefs, Change Your Life. Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. Sorry. But this card is all about changing the way you think. So say someone's suffering, someone outside of you is suffering. So you're going to just keep giving them advice, which is great. I'm not saying don't give people advice if they ask for it. And I know it's difficult not to give advice. And if you are in an area, if it is your area of expertise, then obviously you are going to share your wisdom. But if we can do it in a way that is more like a suggestion, or you can do it in a way that keeps the peace within you, that's the point. If it's coming from any advice that you give or anything you share, it has to come from a place of love and unconditional love and peace, whereby you've created the peace inside of you and it stays there. So therefore the energy is that love and peace flowing out of you. But it's when we get frustrated and we have that frustration and that anger within us, and you should do it like this, and you need to know this, and you need to do it like this, that's a contracted state. I'm now in a contracted state when I'm like, but it's really important that you do. That's not coming from peace and love. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I hope it's making sense. Because when you can make peace with what's on the outside of you, in other words, you've made the peace within you, and we looked at that in the weekly cards for this week. When you can create that love, joy, and peace and harmony within you, then the idea is to keep it. The idea is to maintain it. I'm going to quote Sarah Landon again. Nothing is worth your heaven on earth. So you have that peace within you. That's your heaven on earth. That ability to find that peace and joy and love, which you've done through meditation and through following your heart and following your joy, doing what you're good at, your walks in nature and all of this. So you have that peace. I can really feel it here, like this peace and joy and love. You have that. As soon as you feel that going, so you go out into the collective, you go out into the big wide world, and you'll see or feel or hear fear, manipulation, control, or other people, and then you've got to keep that level of peace. I find it's much easier to do when you come back to the understanding that there is only you and that everybody is a reflection of a part of you. I come back to that all the time because that way it kind of tells me, and just back to the understanding that the outside is reflecting me and not the other way around. So that way I can navigate it and keep my peace inside. I'm not saying ignore it. Ignoring's different because ignoring kind of is putting your head in the sand. I'm clocking it. I'm observing it. I'm observing the fear. I'm observing the manipulation. I'm observing the control going on. I'm observing that density. I'm observing that those low frequency emotions. I can observe all of them. And rather than react with resentment, bitterness, anger, and react with a desire and a need to change what's on the outside of me, I can stay in that place of peace. I'm inviting you to stay in that place of peace and just shine your compassion. Shine your compassion on the situation. Because you were fearful, you were feeling all those things. We understand. We don't want to judge anyone. We're not going to judge anyone, right? Especially not going to judge anyone for feeling fearful. But we're not feeling fearful. We're feeling full of peace. So we can look at that, observe it, and we can love it. We can love what is. Now, if you choose to believe, because he chooses his beliefs, okay, and our creative power lies in our ability to choose our beliefs. So if you choose to believe, that what's been happening in the world in the last 18 months is a catalyst for our awakening. It's happening for us. It's happening for us to wake up. It's the biggest trigger. Triggers are there. You'll see, those of you that have seen my Understanding Triggers video, to wake us up to a trapped emotion. Whereas this, what's been happening in the world, is a collective trigger to wake us all up to the density that we've been living in. So it's happening for our benefit. And if you're watching this video, you've woken up, right? And now there's a high chance you're a starseed, right? An evolved soul, and you're here to raise the consciousness level of humanity. So you're here to help raise the consciousness level of the collective. You do that by raising your own level of consciousness. You do that by opening your heart. You do that by finding the peace and joy and love within yourself. And then when you go out into the big wide world, you can have love for the whole situation, because the more greed and manipulation and control that comes up to be seen, the more awakening is going to happen. That is the great awakening. The more people are going to wake up to the density that they've been living in. And we can be grateful for that. That's where we're going to shine our love and gratitude. Our compassion, our love, our gratitude. That's how we love what is. We don't damn it or curse it or try and change it by pushing and resisting in the outside of us. We change it by keeping that feeling of heaven on earth. Nothing is worth your heaven on earth. You keep that peace within you. You have an understanding that everything is happening for the benefit of humanity. You know that. So therefore, that expands you, because that's a thought that expands you. So it's a good thought to have, right? Rather than a thought that puts you in a contracted state of victimhood. So you can look around you and go, yeah, the density has come up. It's like this swamp. This is like a swamp. And it's like all the nasty bits at the bottom, the density is all coming up to the top so that it can be seen it can be felt, and it can be loved for what it is. It's a wake-up call. Without it, we're not going to be able to create heaven on earth. Without it, you're not going to be able to create the new earth. It's a process. So how much love and gratitude can you create within you for the situations that are going on in the world today? This is how we transmute. This is how we transition from third dimensional density into fifth dimensional states of love, peace, harmony, and joy. I hope that makes sense. Because the irony of it all, and you feel like you've got to do, this is the problem, we feel like we've got to do rather than be. I think that's where most of us get caught up. Got to do something in the outside world. And I'm not saying don't do stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's got to come from a place, it's got to come from that place of peace. So when you're in that state of peace, let's say you're going to a protest, you know, it's a peaceful protest. You're in that state of peace. If you're inspired, you want to go and share that with others. You meet up with others. And then if you're inspired, you know, you've seen, I mean, I've seen people's films of them singing beautiful songs, Bob Marley songs, and they're getting really quite high, and they report that when they come home, you know, they're like really excited, and they've had this most exciting, exhilarating day of love and peace and sharing and singing and unity, you know, and they're really quite high on that energy. So definitely, I'm not saying don't do things in the outside world, because you're following your excitement, you're following your peace, you're following your joy, you're following what's in here. So if that inspires you, obviously it's going to inspire you to take action, because we're all individual sparks of source with our individual desires and excitements, you know, so we're all following all of them. So everyone's got a part to play. You do whatever brings you joy, right? So you are taking action in the outside world. I'm not saying you're sitting there doing nothing, but you're going to feel, it's going to feel effortless. It's going to be choiceless. It's going to be easy, because when you follow your inspiration and you do what brings you joy, it's easy. And then when you do that, because you're expressing your true divinity through your human vessel, everything falls into place. But only when it's coming from a place of peace. If you're going to protest from a contracted state of anger, frustration, you know, and resentment and bitterness and, you know, fight, fight, fight. The word fight is a contracting word. You don't need to use it. You know what I'm saying? If you can take the action needed from that place of peace, that's heaven on earth. That's the new earth. That's how we create the new earth. That's how we create the new earth. And when you back off like that, you know, when you back off, whether it be on the collective or on individuals around you in your life, I want you to try this month, because it's quite a clear message. If there is anyone that you've been like trying to push into doing things a certain way, and you know it's for their benefit, or you think it's for their benefit, but the point is they don't need you to push them. They need you to love them. They need you to love them. So if you're in that situation where you think you know the best path for another, back off, love them anyway, and you will find that they will find their own way to do the things that you think they need to do. They will, because you've backed off. If you resist and you're pushing a big rock up a mountain, then the situation is going to persist. If what you resist persists. What you love unconditionally transforms. What you love unconditionally transmutes, raises its frequency. Wow. When you love unconditionally, that's how we raise the consciousness level of humanity and ourselves and our loved ones. and everybody, and I feel quite emotional. Oh, I think I've got off on one. But I feel quite emotional about all of that. It's a massive learning curve for us. And we need to go through, I mean, that chart of emotions that I often share. If you don't know what I'm talking about, have a look around my YouTube channel because there's plenty of videos with it on. But we need to go through that stage of anger. You know, we need to go through that into the willingness, you know, into the reason, into the love. And then you get to the joy and the peace when you have that peace within you. And when we have that peace within us, that peace is reflected back to us in our holographic projection that we're calling life. Wow. 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 I hope that makes sense. That was the message. I always feel like I've got more like this at the end. I never know how it's going to be received. But if you have got this far with the video and you like what you've heard, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please like the video, and please also share it with any like-minded friends, or maybe friends that aren't so like-minded. See what they can make of it. But telling people what they need to do. But you know what I mean, all those YouTubey things. Please like, share, subscribe, and everything else. And a quick reminder that your Christmas present, December, the month of December, discounted card readings for the whole of December. I've also got a lot of other discounts going on my website, so I put a link into my website below. So get yourself a card reading for Christmas, give yourself a Christmas present, or you can also buy a card reading for a friend as a gift for a friend as well. And not just a card reading, it could be any of my readings or services or healing sessions or whatever. So have a good browse around my website from the link in the description. So enjoy December, lots going on energetically, lots of opportunity to grow and to evolve and to enjoy that peace at this time of year. Lots of love to you all. Take care. Have a good month. Bye for now.